Howdy, howdy, folks. Fleeting Distractions here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. When I was working on my Scratch Universe reaction, looking for images of the Rat King for just a quick 2-second scene, I saw this in my search results. The Rat King is much more than a boss fight. Level analysis by Sapphixated over here on YouTube. And that got me thinking, as a huge Last of Us fan, I actually wanted to see what they meant by a level analysis. Are they going to break down the level? Are we going to get the symbolism for the Rat King is? How does it connect to different aspects of the game? That being said, we're just going to hop right on into this and see what this creator has written and created for us. All right.
Can I give you some advice?
Sure.
Think about the good parts to fear. You run faster. You're more focused.
Right off the bat, I am loving the flashing lights matching the heartbeat. It just gives this really, really good sense of dread, stress, and just uneasiness.
You don't feel pain as much. Every bad feeling.
Oh crap, there's the rat.
Palms sweating, your heart.
Palms sweating, knees weak, arms are heavy. But yeah, there is actually, like, if you look at the flight or fight response system with humans, it is actually a fascinating system.
Racing. They're all signs you're actually stronger.
Yeah, true. I hate that fight.
So when you feel afraid, you should think about how your body is getting ready for what's coming.
Body's getting ready to take itself to its limits. Also love the fact that Abby has 3 incendiary shells on that shotgun. That was one of my favorite little doohickeys with the shotgun for that playthrough.
Only when weak.
Also should mention, I have an unpopular opinion. I don't hate Abby as much as a lot of other people do. Yes, I despise what she did to Joel's, but I understand it. The thing is also, for me personally, I'm going to get this out of the way right now, I think Abby grew more as a character in Last of Us Part 2. Kind of had this idea of, redemption or changing, and also by the end of it, kind of a self-absolution. Kind of getting over the grief and the guilt that she felt.
May I carry my true strength.
Run! So I'm going to guess that the Rat King is actually connected to Abby. Maybe a physical representation of her guilt and how it's eating away at her. Not really her guilt, more or less her trauma.
Welcome back to my series where I discuss scenes, characters, and themes from The Last of Us Part 2 in order to deepen our understanding of this story as well as certain facets of storytelling in general. Today I'm going to be analyzing the Rat King boss and its place in the storyline, as well as what it represents in Abby's emotional journey.
That's good. Where it represents the game, it represents a horrible boss fight that gave me nightmares, and what it represents for Abby, like, my guess is it's going to be representing her trauma as well as her guilt. Kind of having to confront, maybe a good way to put it is confronting inner demons.
This is the first time a monster like this has been seen in the Last of Us series, and it is so much more than a boss fight. This grotesque amalgamation of infected people trapped in the emergency room for 25 years also personifies Abby's trauma, foreshadows the battle to come between her and...
Okay, so it is, their analysis is also showing that the Rat King is a representation of Abby's trauma. I gotta slow down.
Ellie, and is a symbolic obstacle, one of many that she will face on her internal quest for redemption and light.
True. Another thing, like, both characters, both Ellie and Abby, suffer so much in this series. Not in the series, this game alone. It was just... I honestly felt bad for both of them. Their actions led to so much heartache and pain for both of them. And just... I think I heard the quote once, and I might get it wrong, but the first game was love. Like what Joel would do for a daughter, and just showcasing that. And the second game was based off of hatred or hate. And to me, like, saying it when I heard it being said like that, and after playing it, I'm like, yeah, hate burns through everything. It destroys everything it touches. And I'm gonna get into this more, but I want to break this down with it. The concept of revenge. Both characters, Abby and Ellie, seek vengeance for a great wrong that was done to them. Now, the fact that there was a great wrong done to them, yes, to me, on a personal level, seeking vengeance was justified. However, needs to be taken into account, especially with using vengeance as a trope in literature or any kind of media. Revenge destroys everything. If you're not willing to sacrifice everything because revenge will take everything, don't do it. There are countless examples of that through literature throughout the histories. Well, throughout history. One of the best ones I can think of personally is Titus and Andronicus by William Shakespeare. If you get a chance to read that play, it is fantastically horrible. Love it, but there are scenes in that I'm just like, oh God. Not going to go into the details of that one because I don't like ruining playwrights, and it's been around since the early 1600s, so you guys can find stuff. There's not going to be any spoilers on that. Now that being said, but the premise behind that one is the character does get his revenge, but it doesn't bring any peace. It doesn't bring any absolution. It does nothing. It just finishes the job with him. You also see that with an old playwright called The Revenger's Tale, or I think that's The Revenger's Tragedy. I don't know 100%. I'll have to look that one up. But also, just a little tidbit in my brain. There's a part in Titus and Andronicus that was actually shown in a modern adaptation, well, in a way, modern, with the Game of Thrones show. Specifically, when Arya feeds a certain lord a special meat pie. To me, that was taken directly from, or was a love letter to Titus and Andronicus. And I think the Revenger's Tale, or the Revenger's Tragedy, also dealt with that too. Anyways, my little rant's over. But I was trying to state with this one is that, especially with Abby and Ellie seeking vengeance, to me, the key difference between Abby and Ellie, Abby got her revenge. It did nothing for her, and she was trying to rebuild herself. Ellie didn't get her revenge, but was sacrificed everything to get it. And it's, I mean, if you've played the game, it's really just, it's a bittersweet, kind of depressing ending. Anyways, let's keep going. I'm sorry I spoke for so long.
We see Abby wake up a total of 4 times throughout the game, and the first few times it's with a start as she wakes from a nightmare.
That's
the implication
right.
is that this playable sequence where she discovers her father's dead body in that hospital room has been plaguing her in her sleep for 4 years.
I mean, who wouldn't be plagued with nightmares about seeing a loved one dead on the floor?
This is the nightmare that she startles awake from when we first encounter her in Jackson. When we return to Abby's perspective at the stadium, Manny wakes her from the same nightmare.
How have you been sleeping these days? Not great?
Also, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I feel so bad for this character. Honestly. Like, everything that happens to that character, yeah. Sometimes there's no happy endings for people.
Do you want me to get you something from the pharmacy?
Nah, I'm good.
It's not a big deal.
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna wear myself out.
Yeah, wearing yourself out to not dream is not really a good method of dealing with things.
I've been picking up a few extra assignments.
Abby's physique is literally
City of Thieves. I wonder if that's a real book.
the external manifestation of her trauma. Not only has she been training and working.
Also, I love the fact that, well, I know that Abby's room wasn't the library. I think Abby actually rooms with Manny. But I would love having a room that's a library. Also, kind of just fanboying a little bit. The WLF, I think it was the Washington Liberation Front, the Wolves, their base of operations was a really cool concept. They took an old stadium and turned it into their headquarters. I mean, the basement levels, the high levels, it was just, that one, I loved that level design. Seeing how that one was put together, it actually reminded me of Fallout's Diamond City. Both of those concepts, I never thought about that for a post-apocalyptic location.
Out obsessively for 4 years in order to face the monster who killed her father, but she has also been using it as a coping mechanism, pushing herself to her physical limits every day so that she is too exhausted to dream. But at this point, Joel is dead and Abby has achieved her revenge. So why is she still struggling to get a good night's sleep? Why?
Kind of like how I said earlier, revenge doesn't do anything. I mean, it's like, Okay, good, you got your revenge, but everything that you were pushing yourself for, like with Abby, how they push themselves to their physical limits to be like this being that could fight what they perceived as a monster. Well, now there's no drive. What now? It didn't solve anything. Her father's still dead. She still has the nightmares of what happened that night.
Why is she still having this particular dream? Why does she keep reliving her trauma's origin? The moment.
I mean, honestly, it was also her dad that we played the game. She had a really close connection with her father. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there was some kind of dialogue where Abby was saying, like, if she was in Ellie's place, like, being immune to the cordyceps and actually, um, well, like I said, in Ellie's shoes, she would gladly do it. Like this, I don't want to use martyrism because that's wrong, but a self-sacrifice aspect, especially with in conjunction with her loved ones, with her dad.
Her life changed forever. The answer begins to come to her at the end of that first Seattle day, after she narrowly escapes a group of hostile Seraphites and infected with the help of 2 runaway Seraphite.
By the way, this I think was part of the reveal trailer for Last of Us Part 2 originally. That was a really good trailer.
Kids. Once her mortal enemy, the 3 of them save each other multiple times during their escape. The kids even come back for her when she gets trapped in an infested building.
I think they were called the Seraphites. I might be wrong on that one. It's been a few years since I played that game.
When they could have easily just fled and left her behind. Eventually, Abby needs to return to her original mission, which was to find Owen at the Seattle Aquarium, and so she leaves the kids alone in what she knows to be an unsafe area. And
if I remember correctly, Owen went AWOL. And it wasn't just his going AWOL. I think he took out like an older Seraphite or a younger one, I can't remember. But there was a huge age gap between the Seraphite that he took out that kind of unnerved him to the point that he just wanted to get out of there. He always also came off as a flaky person, like he wasn't really in for a cause all the way, for the most part. Like I think there was one, like hunting down Joel was his only cause that he was like, okay, yeah, I'm in 120% or whatever. But he ended up having a change of character or became unnerved when he took out that Seraphite. And he was in the process, I think, of leaving or sparing or something that went against the WLF's code of conduct or how they do things. And he ended up stabbing one of his friends, I believe, and then basically disappeared. He was trying to escape.
Night, after arguing and ultimately sleeping with Owen, Abby has the nightmare again. Only this time, instead of
again, I'm just going to state this. I hate Owen as a character. I don't know if I said that earlier, but he is just so flaky. I don't like him.
Walking into the operating room to find her father's dead body, she sees a liminal space with elements from the hospital populating the area where she was nearly lynched and quartered by Seraphites earlier that night. And as her gaze travels up, she sees Lev and Yara hovering over the spot where in an alternative...
That's another thing I think that drives Abby. I might be wrong with this one, but Abby seems to be driven a lot by guilt. Some kind of guilt that she feels towards herself, towards her actions, towards the world. And she just keeps pushing herself because she has like this guilt that she can't get rid of.
Version of this dream, she would have seen her father's corpse. It's a gruesome foretelling of the kids meeting the same fate they saved Abby from because she left them behind. And then
disemboweled and hung.
And she wakes with a start for the 3rd time. And so, without really knowing why.
Do they actually ever tell you why Owen has such massive scar damage on his right shoulder? It kind of looks like burn tissue.
Abby returns to the shipping yard to find Lev and Yara, and when it's discovered that Yara's injured arm will need to be amputated in order...
Which is because, if I remember correctly, she took a sledgehammer to her elbow, which caused compartment syndrome or something like that, where, the bone's just gonna not heal correctly, it's fragmented, it's gonna cause gangrene, and it's just gonna fall off.
To prevent her from dying of gangrene, Abby volunteers to travel across the city to obtain the necessary medical supplies from the WLF-occupied Lake Hill.
And for the life of me, I cannot remember why all the Seraphites have like that scar going up their lips. I think it has something to do with how their martyr, their original founder, was like given that scar. Maybe it was done by the the government one. It's not I can't remember what they're called. Or it might have been done by Isaac with the WLF. I can't remember.
Hospital. Through her dreams, her subconscious is trying to tell her something. And though she isn't sure exactly what yet, she knows she is determined to prevent that nightmare from becoming a reality, because she couldn't stop the original one from coming true. The trials Abby faces on her journey to get the medical supplies are many. First, she and Lev must ascend one of the tallest skyscrapers in Seattle in order to reach the sky bridge.
No, thank you. If I remember correctly, Abby has a fear of heights, and that is something I actually share with the fictional character. No. That level sucked. Also, I just noticed these temporary holders right here for the fence. But how everything looks so rusted and everything, that coating of paint has held up great for at least 25 years. Looks really nice.
A shortcut the Seraphites use to get around the flooding and the WLF. One of the first things we learn about Abby is that she is afraid of heights and experiences vertigo. As she and Lev climb continually upward, she gets more...
Thank God I don't experience vertigo, but I do not like heights.
...more anxious and less prickly towards Lev, who does his best to help her through her fear, all while challenging her by...
So yeah, that is the founder of the Seraphites. I can't remember, like, if they had the cut across their lips. I can't remember what that was, or who gave it to them, or whatnot.
...biases and providing more context about the Seraphite prophet. When they finally reach the bridges, constructed out of a collapsed crane...
Nope, no.
Abby must face her biggest fear by crossing them.
Come on, true strength.
Yeah, keep your true strength. No.
True strength. True strength.
I mean, yeah, right here, you see, like, no.
Then she falls, her biggest fear realized, and she survives. Shortly after...
Dumb luck. Yeah. But also, that's still water for God knows how long. That would be filled with bacteria, especially the, what was the one that, like, eats the brain-eating bacteria? No, thank you. But also, really quick, the fact that she faced her fear, like one of her greatest fears here with heights and falling and surviving it, falling into water, could also be maybe seen as a baptism of sorts. Like, you've met your greatest fear, you're going to be reborn as a stronger character, or you're also cleansing yourself to prepare yourself for the next hardship or trial.
After, she and Lev have this conversation, which will be one of the few times Abby will actually attempt to verbally express how she's feeling.
My ears are ringing.
If that's the worst of it, we got off lucky.
Bacteria in the brain. No, I think that one actually has to go through the nose.
Maybe it wasn't luck.
Maybe it was.
Some wolves believe in God. I've heard them pray.
Well, I don't. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die for me.
Then what are you doing here? Why did you come back for us?
Guilt. That's my thought.
Guilt.
Of what? You don't owe us anything.
Yeah, kind of do. You saved her life, so maybe at the very basic, a life for a life.
Needed to lighten the load a bit.
In addition to allowing her dreams to guide her, Abby is also motivated by a desire to assuage her own sense of guilt. Guilt for leaving the kids behind the night before, for sleeping with her friend's boyfriend.
Crummy move. Just gonna be honest, crummy move. On her part and on Owen's part.
For how her actions in Jackson have affected her friends.
Horrible.
And for killing Joel Miller while Ellie pleaded for his life. She may not yet be aware of all the specifics of her guilt, particularly surrounding Joel's death, but it has been a...
That was a really brutal scene, by the way. If you guys have not played it or seen the second season. I haven't seen the second season, but with how they handled the first season, I'm fairly certain... Sorry. I'm fairly certain they got that accurate. I'm going to wait till the second season comes out on DVD. I've been kind of ignoring everything online because I want to go into the second season with a fresh take. But yeah, what happens to Joel at the beginning of the game is just so brutal.
Accumulating, as suggested by her referring to it as a load she has been carrying, which she feels the need to unburden herself of. In a chapter of the game literally called The Descent, Abby and Lev must descend through the infected and partially destroyed Black Array Hotel. It's suggested that the nest in the hotel consists primarily of infected...
Okay, people that are, you know, returning viewers to my channel, I always read letters that pop up in videos. So here we go. Avery, the Black Ray Hotel contains a large group of infected, likely the ones that spilled out of the hospital. We need you and your crew to bring down the supports from the inside out. Use the supplied explosives and remote detonators. Good luck. Federal Disaster Response Agency.
Patients from the hospital, the epicenter of the...
I'm going to say this also. I love about the Last of Us series. I love all the little letters and stuff that you find around. To me, it builds on the lore and it builds on the world. I love it.
Outbreak, who then spread out into the surrounding area. In that sense, Abby has already begun her descent to Ground Zero and is currently on the outskirts of its radial impact, both physically in the world and metaphorically in her journey. As she descends further and further, the exposed layers and cylindrical shape of the hotel are reminiscent of Dante's 9 layers of hell.
That is actually a really good way of putting that. Because if you look at Dante's Divine Comedy, like the first part is Inferno, has to go look and through all of the different sins of the world, and I think also in ways confronts sins of themselves. I mean, Virgil kind of is their guide and shows them the different layers, and also, if you don't know about Dante, Dante was kind of a spiteful, petty person, so he actually put people that he didn't like or political opponents in hell in his writings at different levels that he thought best representative. Anyways, so the idea with, like, especially you have to go through the Inferno and then you have to traverse through Purgatory to cleanse yourself to get to heaven. So descending into the lowest part of themselves, maybe hitting rock bottom in a way. Maybe that wasn't even rock bottom, because that was just descending to the different layers and seeing like, oh, we're going further into ourselves before they actually hit rock bottom. Who knows? But yeah, that was actually a really good thing to say about it.
Abby finally reaches the hospital. She comes up against another trial, being imprisoned by her own people.
Because technically she went AWOL.
Abby is arrested by the WLF for disobeying Isaac's orders and going AWOL. Now she is an outcast, an enemy of multiple factions, but still determined to achieve her goal. Perhaps at this point she believes once she's done this, she can negotiate with Isaac and get herself out of this jam.
If I remember correctly, you don't negotiate with Isaac. He's not someone that be like, oh yeah, sure, I completely understand. I think there was a scene where he actually was like, yeah, you guys settled your differences, you're clear-headed, you guys can finish the mission that I want done. That was the most of his negotiations, because he didn't have like a major operation going on. But at this time, if I'm not mistaken, he's preparing for his final push against the Seraphites. So I think if he even suspects or gives a whiff of insubordination, it's not going to be well. So yeah, no, you're not going to negotiate with Isaac at this point.
She hasn't yet fully turned her back on them, but is rather prioritizing her personal mission and subconscious needs, as well as the needs of her own tribe. Tribalism is a big theme in The Last of Us 2, and Abby's is getting progressively smaller. Even when Nora frees her, Abby doesn't tell her the full truth about what's...
And what happens to Nora when Ellie gets a hold... I mean, just in general, Ellie's playthrough was really difficult for me.
Going on.
There's a reason we haven't touched this area yet. It was ground zero for the whole city. Where they brought the first infected before anyone knew better. It's gonna be overgrown to shit.
Awesome.
Abby continues to descend alone into the bowels of the hospital.
Okay, ground zero. You guys can't see it because my camera is over this scene right now, but I love the moths and everything flying in what would be the upper right corner.
Ground Zero is a metaphor for Abby's rock bottom. Until she set off on this mission, Abby was at her lowest
I was kind of right about that.
point. Getting her revenge didn't give her the sense of peace and justice she'd expected to feel.
No,
instead, she has felt more lost than ever. Her friends think she's a monster, and she has begun to suspect they may be right.
Okay, yeah, you can't really deny that there were aspects of her that were monstrous. I mean, like, where I'm pausing right here, it just, again, that scene was brutal.
The only way she can move forward is to face the past, to return to a hospital and kill the monster within her, whose violence and rage has caused her to lose touch with her humanity and capacity for empathy. It's symbolic that Abby's healing journey brings her back to a hospital.
That little decontamination door Kind of looks like a firefly symbol.
To the origin of her.
Which, I mean, yeah, her dad was the lead doctor for the Fireflies in the first game that Joel killed. So by technicality, I mean, not by technicality, I think Abby and Owen and Manny and can't remember the other one's names, and I feel horrible for that, but they were all Fireflies, if I'm not mistaken.
Trauma. As she makes her way through the eerily silent emergency room, she reads notes from soldiers.
Oh, another note. You will need to send more soldiers to fully secure this area. Although hopefully you blew up this building to Kingdom Come, and you weren't dumb enough to try and contain this thing. Good luck, assholes.
Soldiers who didn't know what they were up against, and nurses who fought.
Oh, another one. Lake Hill Seattle Hospital. I can't pronounce that last name, and I feel bad about it. Higasi, medical doctor. Anyways, Steven, I can't keep doing this. I know I'm just supposed to run tests and log the data, but I can't handle this much pain. I escorted some soldiers to the trauma. I wasn't supposed to go in there. I've seen what the patients turn into. Every single adult and child that is brought in here with a bite or scratch is going to lose their mind. I can't read the rest of it, but the part of the rest of that line, keep lying to them, could either say, and I keep lying to them, or we keep lying to them.
Fought and died during the outbreak. She sees infected patients frozen in their beds and is perhaps reminded of the...
Which, by the way, frozen here, their bodies are just releasing spores. They're food for the mushrooms or for the fungus.
Horrors her father and the Fireflies had been trying to save the world from when they, too, met their end in a hospital's halls. In a rather on-the-nose but still missable detail, she first encounters the Rat King when she wakes it from its nest in the trauma center.
The fuck is that?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was like a snarl or growl that had me going, okay, we're gonna leave you alone.
While searching for a power source, Abby makes this remark.
Could use Lev in here. Or Manny.
And any kind of backup would be nice.
Yeah.
But honestly, Lev is kid, so I wouldn't want Lev in this situation. Manny, yeah. Because Manny is just as well rounded out as Abby is, if I'm not mistaken.
Manny would have been great.
No,
it's interesting that her initial wish was for
Tommy.
Lev to be there with her, and then, catching herself, she switched to wanting Manny by her side instead. While wandering in this quiet underground purgatory, this line demonstrates her already being pulled in two directions. Lev is her current companion, and he presents an opportunity. Taking care of him will, in due course, become Abby's purpose, her light. On the other hand, Manny represents her past life, both with the WLF and with the Fireflies before. He is her best friend, someone familiar, but he also enables her violence and ruthlessness. When she returns to the main
well, I mean, he's seen Abby at her best and at her worst, so yeah.
reception area, the trauma center has been blown open, its contents leading a bloody trail into the parking garage. And then, just when she finally finds the supplies she's been looking for, Abby encounters one last trial, facing her biggest demon. Literally.
I hated that fight. That thing was a horrible jump scare when I first saw it. I was like, nope.
The Rat King gets its name from a real, albeit rare, phenomenon involving multiple rats who get tangled together by the tail. It's a fitting name for this creature, composed of multiple infected people who were locked away together for 25 years.
Yeah, that trauma center, I think there was notes about it, like, just because, I mean, what is it with, the bloated, or not the bloated, I can't remember the number, the stages of an infection. I call myself a fan. Anyways, it takes decades for them to get to that type of level, because what were the stages? Runner, stalker, clicker. I keep going back to bloater. I might be wrong about that. And then there was a unique one to Seattle, Washington, due to its wet environment, where they had that ones that like with smoke or acid. And this one was just 4 or 5 people in a really close environment, and they just basically fused together.
Just as the Rat King is made up of multiple physical elements to make a whole, so too is it an amalgamation of multiple metaphorical concepts. It, like Abby's pain, had festered and grown in the trauma unit for years until she finally released it.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Kind of like figuring out like what different trauma events that she went with, because I mean, biggest one I could think of is like the death of her father.
Grotesque reminder of the horror this infection is capable of sowing. The very infection her father had been on the verge of curing when he was killed. It's a physical manifestation of her inner demons, the thing she hates most about herself, and the untreated symptoms of her trauma, the grief, shame, and guilt she has been suppressing all this time, and which she must face in order to move on. The Rat King also represents Joel, the monster she initially held responsible for ruining her life. During the initial chase,
so guilt and trauma mixed with also, you know, the monster that ruined her life.
Sequence, Abby hacks away at a piece of it, which later breaks away and becomes autonomous. This armored stalker, smaller, more nimble, and in a way more difficult to beat than the Rat King, represents Ellie, severed violently from its parent. It is the final creature Abby must fight, even after what she thought was the main monster has been slain.
Okay, yeah, that actually is a good... Yeah, I can actually see that.
At this point, Abby doesn't yet know that Ellie is coming for her, that they just barely miss each other at the hospital, and that her friends are dying all around her. Abby's encounter with the Rat King foreshadows the fight to come, that even when she thinks she has beat her enemy, something tougher and more...
You know, that's also a good thing. A good, not good. Interesting concept, because what she's fighting right here is an armored stalker, which in ways is actually more dangerous than a runner or a clicker, because they can actually see you, they can actually plan, but they also have unique abilities only to a second stage infected. Which, you know, stalker, it's pretty plain and obvious right there. Ellie is stalking Abby. So yeah.
More formidable will present itself. Besting Ellie in a fight for Abby will be easy.
Which, by the way, in the first game, I absolutely hated fighting stalkers. I hated them more than anything.
Deciding to break the cycle of violence by sparing her won't be. By killing the Rat King, Abby has officially severed ties with the ruthless and selfish person she has become. She emerges from that hellhole, reborn, strangely calm despite having just fought a terrifying monster, her mission accomplished, and a new sense of purpose starting to set in. When Abby and Lev return to the aquarium with the medical supplies, Mel performs the surgery that saves Yara's life. That night, Abby returns to St. Mary's Hospital in her...
I wonder if they did the surgery without any anesthetic, or how they would have done that. Because, I mean, yeah, that was a surgical kit, but... amputation of an arm. Ugh.
Her dreams, but it's different. The alarm isn't wailing, Abby isn't panicking, and the red door at the end of the hallway is open with light spilling out of it.
I remember this scene. It actually did kind of throw me off when I watched it.
When she enters the operating room, she sees her father standing, smiling and at peace. This vision tells Abby that she is finally on the right path. She has done something good, something her father would be proud of. She has a purpose again, one not tied to revenge or hatred, but instead to the protection of these kids whom she can keep safe and prevent from following in her footsteps.
Right there. Prevent from following in her footsteps. She's also, at this point, letting go of her guilt. It's like I said earlier, maybe a self-absolution, like forgiving yourself. Like, she's carried this guilt for so long, and she's finding a purpose after revenge. She's like, what we've been talking about, or what I've been talking about with this reaction, is a theme that's used a lot in, especially playwrights. If you want to look at modern adaptations, that kind of blur the line there. But if you go back a couple centuries, revenge, taking it away from okay, let's take a second to slow down. For me to slow down. With how playwrights were done, especially with English literature, God was the one that passed judgment. It was his, how do I want to word this? Not his call, but it was his duty to deal with to lay out judgment. So with the idea of revenge dramas coming out, you kind of saw like you're upsetting the natural order. You're taking revenge. You're saying that you are better than God at this point. That's kind of what those were dealing with those playwrights. So by upsetting the natural balance, you were also punished for seeking revenge. So I like how they kind of played with this one more, with that trope that revenge solves nothing. Like, yeah, you can seek justice, but revenge is just, it's an emotional aspect, and it robs you. So when you can actually move past it, and we're seeing that she's healing at this time. Yeah, there are still some really dark points coming up that I'm not going to get into. Play the game, Or, I mean, if this creator has videos about those ones, go check them out. But she is on the right path. She is, like I said, she's absolving herself of her guilt, of her trauma. She's facing it. She's not burying it. She's just coming to terms with, yeah, that happened, but let's move on.
What happened to us?
Still don't like you, Owen.
Maybe we stopped looking for the light.
Yeah. Which is another concept, like not having a light to focus on while you're just wandering through the dark, stumbling, smacking into things. No actual clear goal.
Maybe.
So why was she still having the nightmare of finding her father's dead body even after she killed Joel? Because killing him didn't fix anything. It didn't bring her father back. It didn't ease her pain. And once she'd achieved her goal and received no satisfaction from it, she felt empty and purposeless. All the feelings she had before Joel died were still present, lying dormant in her psyche. Then when she met Lev and Yara and her dreams changed for the first time in 4 years, she took it as a sign and followed it. After facing hell and high water to do something good for someone else for the first time since she lost her father, Abby found a new sense of purpose and an opportunity to reinvent herself. And although what she did to save Yara can't make up for all the bad things she has done,
it really can't, but it does show legitimate desire to change, to be better. It's the first steps to actually wanting to become a better person.
it's an important first step on a path for change. The final iteration of her dream reveals that she has actually begun the healing process and is reconnecting with who she truly is. And when she wakes the next day, it's not with a start. For the first time in the game, she wakes peacefully and on her own terms.
Abby, why are you helping us?
Lev asked me the same thing. I guess
Her ponytail is going all over the place.
you don't deserve this. But also,
Kind of, this is my personal take on Abby. I know we're about done, but I wanted to add this. Abby's consumed by guilt, but I also think that she is a protector. Like, she plays the protector stereotype character. So losing that focus, or kind of having that taken from her when she was still developing when she lost her father, it made her lose that focus or that drive, and it got corrupted in a way. So now having this chance to, after Joel's gone, I think she's decided at this point to leave the WLF, and she's just like, I'm gone. She has a clear goal, and she wants to take on the role of a protector. So that's my thought process. I could be completely wrong with that one, but to me it seems like at this point she's taking on that role, and it's giving her maybe a purer path or a chance to redeem herself. I'm going to keep using the term self-absolution.
I needed to. I had to.
Thank you so much for watching this video.
we're right at the
If you've
end.
enjoyed it, please interact with it, as it helps me a lot and boosts the engagement of my channel. If you're new to my channel, I invite you to check out my other video essays if you want to deep dive on other elements of
I'm always up for deep dives and analysis on video games.
Abby's story. And if
Just Abby's story, I can deal with that one too.
you're not new, thanks for coming back. Be sure to follow me on TikTok for more The Last of Us content. And until next time, endure and survive.
Ending it on that little thing from Ellie's comic books. Okay, so that was Sapphixated's The Rat King is Much More Than a Boss Fight level analysis. To me, that was a really good video. I enjoyed watching that. It provided a lot of in-depth thoughts to who Abby is, as well as just helping me relive those creepy scenes with that stupid Rat King monster. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Go check out their original video. It looks like, based on what I'm seeing right here, recontextualizing Tommy's character analysis when you stop looking for the light, scene analysis. So the fact is they do level, scene, and character analysis. Like, this is really cool, seeing some deep dives into all aspects of the game. Obviously, it looks like they are a bigger Last of Us fan than I am. But that being said, please go check out their videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Like their original video. Comment. Just, if you have any thoughts on what they did, if you want to know more, let them know. If you liked my reaction to it, please just like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys think similar to this, if there was anything that I overlooked, or got completely wrong, I'd like to know in the comments. As always, join me for some more fleeting distractions. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.